It's good to have you on. You've been on the podcast once or twice. I don't know if it's twice.
Once officially, but then we've been on Instagram Live too. So I
Okay.
mean, we count those as well. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
we do. Yeah, we're going to count those. So, yeah, you and I have definitely conversed a lot, and I've been more than impressed with not only your journey, but just the way you carry yourself as a person. Like, it's unreal. It's something that I always talk about leaders have, and we'll get into like NBA stuff, but I've always said being an amazing player isn't just what you do on the court, it's how you carry yourself. And it's
Yeah.
that's show up on a stat sheet, but coaches know it, players know it, fans know it. You're a get it guy. And that's one
Yeah.
thing I've always noticed about you.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that, man. I mean, I kind of grew up that way, always being, with my friend group and the family. On one side of my family, I'm like the oldest cousin, so I've always had like the leadership role and stuff.
You were just telling me about being a leader.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, leadership kind of ran with me since I was a little kid. I've always been like the older cousin on one of my sides, and then I also a younger cousin, like the youngest cousin on one of my mom's side. So I kind of got to see what my older cousins did, what like, their past and stuff. So I kind of like took that all in as DNA and took little bits and pieces of everybody else for my leadership qualities for sure.
Yeah, and that's essential. And I don't know if you watched, I'm sure you did, The Last Dance during the pandemic. That's like one of the few things that anyone was able to do. We all shared that. We knew
Yeah, yeah.
those days we're all going to be in front of the television watching. One thing that was so pivotal for me, or like one thing that really stood out. I mean, there's so many things to talk about, right? You got the 6 rings, you got all the ups and downs, but his upbringing. And if it wasn't
Yeah,
brother, if it wasn't for the way his father and his mother were, like having that core group as a young individual is what established him to be that competitive leader that he became. It's all about who you surround yourself with. It's not
sure.
just about being on the court. It's just those little things like you just mentioned, just being the older sibling or the older cousin and being a leader. But before we get into your journey, for those listening, so this is the first episode of the Undrafted series.
Yes,
And
sir.
I really, really like when Dom and I, shout out to Dom, by the way, but when him and I
Big guy.
talked about doing this, I was ecstatic because I'm someone who, like, I love documentaries. I just watched Kanye's documentary. Uh, like,
Fire.
love Rocky. Like, I love the story, not like
Hmm.
not just the destination, right? Because
Yes, yes, yes.
the journey is what defines people, and that's what makes a destination that much more sweet. So I find so much pleasure in hearing about the journey. And that's what I wanted this series to do, is to talk to people about the journey and how they're going to get, whether they're currently in it or they people that have already established to be in the NBA or whatever they're going. This is supposed to focus on the journey of it. And that's what I really want to do. And I'm really excited to have you on because you and I have talked about your journey before, but I know there's going to be people listening to this for the first time, the Undrafted series, and your story is incredible, and you're currently in the story. And that's
Yes,
what I
sir.
really want to touch on because it's easy to celebrate once you made it and it looks great. But when you get to, like, imagine if people, and I don't know if you've seen the documentary, Kanye's documentary.
Oh yeah, I have for sure.
Okay, so
Yeah.
being, there's just something magical about it. Like, I don't know what, Cootie is a genius. Like,
Oh,
he just knew, you know what? I'm going to sacrifice a lot because I want to document. This is special. Like, I truly believe it.
yes, absolutely.
That journey is just unreal. So let's talk about your journey a little bit. Take me back, take my audience back when you knew, okay, there's a lot of people who play basketball, Austin. Like, a lot of people could grow up playing basketball.
Yeah,
But you had to know, like, okay, I have a different ceiling than most people playing this game. Like,
yeah,
I can make a career out of this. This is what I want to do.
yeah.
Was it a game? Was it a year? Was it a moment? When did you know, okay, Austin, like, I know I can actually pursue this further than most people I know?
Man, me and my mom actually talked about this not too long ago, and I believe it was seventh grade. I had to been about 11 or 12 years old, and I was playing in, AAU. I was also playing in like rec leagues and like YMCA. I was playing all over, and from sixth grade, I was very good. I thought I was very good, but there was a leap that I took, in seventh grade where, I really worked on my game a lot that summer. I was never like, I mean, my generation, we didn't have trainers. So like, I was always like, outside playing 21 with my cousins. I was outside playing one-on-one up to 100 with my cousins. Like, so we used to fight, scratch, and claw. So going into that seventh grade year, every single game I played, some of my cousins are older, younger. Like, I took that like mentality that I had then, and there was like this league I was playing in, very good competition, seventh grade, and man, my team was not as good as the other teams. You know what I mean? It's one of those like we had like the Warriors, we had the Celtics, we had like
Yeah.
Bucks, like, and then my team was more or less we were like how do I who in the NBA we have right now that's a little one man band. One of the teams with the one man band, and I had a
Yep.
couple people that were okay, and we ended up being like the third place team in the league, and I remember hitting game winning shots in consecutive games, in the like game winning, like not no time left on the
Yep.
clock against the top two teams in the league, and people were telling my mom and myself like, "Yo, we think your son could really be something special one day," and I think that was a turning point in my life and in my career, because then I kind of started looking at myself in a different light for sure.
Man. Here, do me a favor. I don't know if you can. Can you tilt the camera a little up? I want to make sure it gets you. There you go. That's a
Like
little
that's
bit.
cool.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah.
Um, make sure you're fully in it. Yeah, that's incredible. And now, how did, like, when you knew? Now you always took it seriously, right? Like, so you love the game of basketball, but
Hmm.
from that moment on, you're like, okay, now it could be a little bit more than just I love this and this is fun. This is something that I need to like truly lock in on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so what was the question for that? So you want me to tell you when?
So when you locked in and okay, this is something I need to do, does your approach to the game change? Because of course you don't want to take the love and fun out of it, but is it now like, okay, I need to be in the right coaching system, I need to be in the right AAU programs? There's just so many ways to approach it because I mean, some people go to private schools, certain people do
Mm,
public schools. Did that? Is there something in your mind that changed? Did you have to write out a game plan, or is it, you know what, I'm just going to dominate no matter what I'm in?
it was a little bit of both. I mean, definitely it was I got to show out and dominate wherever I was in. I come from a smaller city, so like we didn't have a lot of guys that were like
Yeah.
grassroots guys that like you can go to for the blueprint. Like, hey, can I go on this team? Can I go on that team? Or what do I do? So I had to lean on like my experience from like my cousins and my family members that have been through it. So I really took the AU scene a lot more serious. I took because of my small city where I was from, we wanted to get attached with some people that were I could get seen on a national level, or start getting seen in a more regional level versus like so just my city or neighboring cities. So the grind really took off from there though. Like I was at the gym, YMCA. My mom used to work. Go to drive from Burbank to downtown LA, which is for people that are listening from LA. You know, LA traffic is crazy. So my mom used to have to prepare and get ready for work and leave for work 2-3 hours before. You know what I mean? Like, so in between that, she used to drop me off at the YMCA. You know what she sorry.
You're good.
So we have hold on one second. Hold
You're
on.
good.
Yeah, sorry, Max. Sorry, Max. So
You're
I'm
good.
sorry from the top. So what did you say again?
Just basically the sacrifices you're talking about your mom made, and you're
Yeah.
talking drive and the community. I've been in LA personally, and like I went one time with Shad, and I was like, yeah, this traffic is. I loved it, but I was like, this traffic's nothing to play with. Like, it
Yeah.
to completely strategize your day for that type of traffic because if you have
Yeah.
to work at a certain time, you have to be prepared. There's going to be some car accident. Like I go to Miami a lot, and I
Mhm.
commute to Miami every once in a while, and I know for a fact I have to accommodate for a car accident. Like
Yeah.
it's you have to plan your morning around that, but I keep referring back to the Kanye documentary. And now, for those that haven't seen it, I really recommend you see it. I know
Yeah.
you saw it, so I could bring this up. So there's a moment where he walks into Rockefeller and he starts playing his album.
Yes, man. But yeah.
Like, man, like this is before he's Kanye, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There's this guy who's walking in here to our offices during a work day, so confident in
Yeah.
himself, he interrupts their work day to play his album and starts rapping to it. And now a lot of people may say you probably shouldn't always do that, but my point is he was so confident in
In
himself
himself. Yeah.
even before he is who he is now, right? So you see Kanye, you see a guy worth $2 billion. He has his whole clothing line.
Yes, everything.
Yeah, a decorated rap artist, but he was still that same person back in
Even
the
before.
day, that
Yeah.
self belief, and that's what blows my mind. So for you, it seems like you have always believed in yourself, though, no
Yeah.
matter who you've been on the court with. So now, talk about the people you've played against, and has that changed your approach? Right, you still had that self belief, no matter what league it was, no matter
Yeah.
what part of the world it was. You still have that same belief in yourself.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was something that, like, I don't know. I think it was instilled in me by my mother and my close circle. You know, they were very much so, they believed in me, and I think that's because I'm an only child. You know what I mean? So I didn't have a bunch of siblings or anything like that that I could lean on. So I mean, I had cousins and stuff, but they instilled that like confidence in me, that they believed in me, and that's all I needed. You know, as a kid, that's literally all I needed. And then once I saw that, and I was able to like work and put the work in, I
Yeah.
knew that I was confident in myself, no matter what league it was in, no matter who I was playing against, whether it was playing up, whether it was my age group, whether it was playing in Florida for a tournament, whether it was playing in Vegas or right in my backyard. You know, my mentality stayed the same. I had to make sure that I brought myself, and I was myself in every room that I was in. I had to. I had no other, because I'm an underdog at the end of the day too. So it's not like I'm like I said, I didn't grow up in like a factory of basketball, like, cities where like, oh yeah, this city got a lot of dudes that
Yep.
come out, like, yeah, I'm from LA, but like I'm like from the valley. So the only people at the time when I was coming up that I didn't know about, because we didn't have social media, probably were like Gilbert Arenas was one, but like I didn't know, you know what I mean? How am I supposed to
Right.
know that? Like Nick Young, Jordan Farmar, like those kind of guys were like the Valley legends at the time. But like as I got older, I was able to see and connect. But like at the younger, I don't know what's going on, you know?
Yeah. And see, now that shows on the court because that's how you
Yeah.
aggressive. You go at people. You're constantly on the attack. You're a big guard. You could slash. You create for yourself. You create for others. Because I remember watching when Dom first told me about you. I remember just watching a bunch of your film, and I was like, "Yeah, he has it." Like it doesn't take much to see this guy has it. Like you can't really describe what it is, but you know this guy has it. Um, so you end up dominating in high school, right?
Yes.
So you're just doing your thing. And take me through the collegiate level. Now, I know I said you told me this once, but for those listening, I want people to really know your journey. So you end up going to college. Can you talk to me about that experience and what that competition was like?
Yeah. So I'll start, I mean, leading up into from out of high school, I had a lot of good schools that were, pretty good schools that were interested in me and stuff. But me personally, just speaking to the young viewers and everything, I didn't have the right academic and SAT situation at the time for myself to move on out of high school.
Mhm.
So the next best journey for me was to go to junior college. That was the best. That was like, next route. So from there, I went to junior college, and it was probably the best experience that changed my life. I went to a national junior college in Idaho. Kid from Burbank, California, sunny Southern California. I had no idea where Idaho was even on the map. So um, that was an experience in itself. Went down to Coeur d'Alene, and we had a team that was consisted of a lot of guys like myself, guys that were hungry, humble, wanted to make it out of their situation, maybe missed the boat just a little bit. So
Right.
we were all, band together, and we put together a top 10 junior college team in the country, my years when I was there. So, we were, all of us were all, the competition was high. We always held each other accountable, and we always knew that going forward, wherever we went from there, we were going to be successful because of that bond and everything we created during that time. So that was extreme. I played against a lot of good players. I played against my JUCO class had Chris Boucher in it. Um,
Man.
this guy named Luis Montanero. He was actually came out of JUCO. He didn't even play, but he went to summer. He played for the Portland Trailblazers, and he was out of junior college, like 6'8" PG essentially. Michael Mulder. So we had some very. I mean, he's the only JUCO player that I've ever seen get recruited and go sign to play at Kentucky from junior college. You know what I mean? Like at that time, that was like one and done's, high school kids. So That was a very big experience for myself, propelling me forward to my next journey, which was very interesting. So coming out of JUCO, I was a top 25 on everybody's list, junior college player. I had interest and offers from damn near every school you can name of, like almost pretty much any school, And my final five schools was TCU, Wichita State, Utah, Creighton, and Hawaii. Um, I really, really liked Hawaii because a couple of my AAU teammates, Aaron Valdez, shout out to Aaron Valdez and Quincy Smith and Michael Thomas. Those are guys I kind of played AAU scene with. And they swayed me to definitely go to Hawaii. And I wanted to be myself. I know at TCU, I knew their situation. And I feel like this is for guys that are going to be going through this undrafted series and potentially looking at this for recruiting purposes. You got to also go to where they love you, 100%. So
Okay.
TCU told me straight up, listen, we're going to bring you in. You're not going to have the biggest role. You can come in maybe being our 8 to 10 rotational guy, fight for minutes. Utah, a little bit of the same thing. Wichita State at the time had Fred VanVleet. They had Ron Baker, and they also had Clanthony Early. So
Yeah.
they're very transparent with me. Like, look, we like you, but
Yeah.
we don't love you. We'd love to have you for your junior year, senior year. Then senior year you might have a bigger role. Creighton and Hawaii gave me a bigger role. Creighton had Coach Doug McDermott's dad. And I knew I was going to be more in like that 6-7 role, potentially a starting role. But Hawaii from the jump, I knew coming from JUCO, I was going to have the keys. Like I knew that. Like they were like, look, we're going to have you. You're going to be our 1-2. We're going to let you rock. So committed there. It
Yep.
was amazing. At the time, I was celebrating. Everybody's geeked. Everybody's excited. Get down there, signed and everything. And this is another thing for my guys on the undrafted series that I want them to know is when you're in high school or junior college, you don't let other people dictate your academics, your
Mm.
things, because I let, counselors and people, coaches and stuff, and everybody chime in like, you need to do this, you need to do that. So I ended up committing and signing to Hawaii, not knowing that when I get there, I had 5 full-time semesters. So like my clock as a junior had already started. So technically
Mm.
I only had 1 year to play Division I basketball. So you're telling a guy that already went to JUCO that, wants to have a good resume, that you only have, you're one and done now. Like, and you want to play professionally after this. So you can only go to college for 1 year. And, I had to talk with my mom and my all my family. And NCAA told me I had 1 year to play one at Division I, 2 years to play Division II, 2 years to play Division III, 2 years to play NAI. So I took the humbling approach. It was hard as a 19, 20-year-old kid to
Yeah.
say, I'm going to put my pride aside. I'm not going to go to this D1 and play for a year. And I went right down the street from University of Hawaii to Chaminade University, where I graduated. And I had 2 of the best years of my entire life playing the game of basketball. They gave me the keys. I got a chance to play on the national stage in the Maui Invitational, which most people know of as one of the most prestigious college basketball preseason tournaments. I had the ball in my hands to play against North Carolina, UConn, Tennessee, Michigan, Notre Dame, and Cal Berkeley. So I had national television, 6 national televised games, ball in my hands, no restrictions, to kind of show what I'm capable of. You know what I mean? So that's where my college journey took me. I could go more in depth about what happened when I was at Chaminade, but I just wanted to give the basis leading up into that for sure.
Yeah. And see, that's what makes it incredible because people think of like obstacles on the court, like, oh, you're going to get this defender. This guy's about 6'8" long arm. Oh, it's the life. It's the journey. And so the fact that you're able to it's like you're taking from the journey. You're not letting the journey take you. And
Yeah.
so you're able to find the positives in every situation and has molded you in this person where you can get put in any environment, any court, any game, and you're going to thrive. And that's
Yeah.
something you can't teach. It's something you have to go through. And it's
Yeah.
molded you to become this person who's extremely adaptable, extremely hungry. And there's nothing that's going to stop you. But yeah, so you talk about the next transition. Can you kind of get that?
Yeah, well, I mean, just piggybacking off what you said, like, regardless of whatever situation happened to me, like, at the end of the day, like, everything stayed the same. The denominator, I just wanted to hoop, right?
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to do. I saw, I don't care if it was the NAI, I don't care if it was at Park for Free. Like, I just wanted to hoop,
Hmm.
because I knew my game would translate to the highest levels whenever I got that opportunity. But so for me, when I got to Chaminade, man, it was also like, hey, you're going to Hawaii. So I'm all over the news in Hawaii. People are going. I'm going to University of Hawaii, getting all these follows. To now you're
Yeah.
not going there. So when I went to Chaminade, people were looking at me like, yo, like this the dude that went to Hawaii or committed to Hawaii. They're looking at me like, what is he gonna do? Yeah, Division 1 is a big thing, but they're like, yo, like my mom told me like, look, I don't care if it's Division 1, Division 2, wherever you go, you need to play back. You need to play your game because you can't just think you're gonna walk in there and just eat everybody and just do what you got to do. So I went in there with a mentality like, put my hard hat on. I was like, I don't care about none of this stuff that's outside noise. I came here to lock in. So getting there was a sort of a challenge, because getting used to the competition, to the level. At the time, I'm still transitioning from JUCO, so it doesn't matter D1, D2. Like these are grown men. These are dudes that have been playing in college that know the lay of the land. So like I got to get up to speed. So my first season at Chaminade going in, they had me more playing the two role, which I'm very capable of doing, but it's more something I had to adapt to with the team, and just getting used to that environment. And my school, my coach is like Mike D'Antoni, so we're high up tempo offense. So I had to get used to that playing style, which I love. 3 games in, the guard that we had, kind of wasn't point guard, kind of wasn't getting the job done. As
Yeah.
far as assist to turnover ratio, we're in some game tight ones, losing a couple. So they made the transition to change me to the one. And then from that point, it was history. Like it was like, I was getting double doubles every night. I was a matchup problem because of my size. Not a lot of guys. You can't put the other team starting point guard on me because we had plays. I'm walking guys down to the mid block. I'm posting guys. I'm coming off screen actions and dunking and laying guys up.
Hmm.
Then they want to put taller guys on me, and now I'm out on the perimeter and ball screens, and now we're getting switches, and I'm hitting people, finding people. So man, it was I credit Coach Bovair, at Chaminade and their staff, Coach Kavika and Coach Bras, Coach Kyle, um, and Coach Art as well for making me into for believing in me and putting me in that position to be a 6'6", 6'7" point guard because most people don't allow that to happen. You know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
pigeonhole you into being a wing or a two, but they saw that we were struggling and they allowed me to be me. And then from there, with those leadership qualities that we spoke about before, the
Yeah.
natural just gravitation towards my guys, and it was such a fun a couple of years, man. I was able to put together 2 all conference years where I was first team. Um, Junior year, I was newcomer of the year in my conference. Um, I I tied the conference record for consecutive double doubles in a row. Um, with
Ooh.
points and rebounds. In my junior year, I was top 10 nationally. Um, if you still look up the stat in all college basketball, Division 1, 2, 3, NAIA, in rebounds for point guards. I averaged 9.8, 10 rebounds a game as a point
Yeah.
guard. You know what I mean? So yeah, so and then from there, senior year, had a great year, and I had some big moments in the Mount Invitational where we beat Cal Berkeley by about 30 on national television. I had 14, 9, and 7, no turnovers. And that was a big thing for me too. When I played in the Maui, I wanted to make sure that, yeah, I played Division 2, but these 6 games, I'm a high major Division 1 player because that's all we're playing against. So Carolina, I matched up with Joel Berry.
Mm,
Carolina matched up with Joel Berry. I had 15, 5, and 5.
that's what I'm
Right?
talking.
14, 5, and 5, something like that. Justin Jackson was on that team. Um,
Yeah, that was a stacked team.
they end up winning. We lost to them. They won the national championship.
Yeah, yeah, that's a stacked
Yeah,
team.
as it,
Barry, not to interrupt you, but Joel Barry is actually from Orlando. So when I transferred schools
hmm
from Creek to Atlantic, the year
hmm
before I transferred, my friends, I ended up playing with the next season, played against Joel Berry. And so
Yeah,
people, and there's levels to this. So the school I transferred to is already really good.
yeah,
Now, my senior year, we broke the school record. So like we had a good team, but that they played against Joel Berry and nobody could guard Joel Berry. So
yeah,
like for those listening, you hear these numbers and you hear these players, and it's like just because it may not be a LeBron or a Kevin Durant, like everyone at that level is elite, like the best person you know. So the fact
yes,
you're doing this against Joel Berry
yeah.
is just going to showcase your skills.
Yeah, no, I mean 100%. And I mean, shout out to Joe. Me and him are cool too, and definitely gotta throw a bone, get him on the
Yeah,
pod. You know what I mean? At some point, I'll talk to him about it
I would
once we
love
get up.
to.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Shout out to you guys, man. But nah, man, he's a great dude, and we pushed each other a lot in that game. He made me better. I felt like I made him better. Justin Jackson was on that team. They had Kennedy Meeks, Isaiah Hicks.
Yep.
They had a good team. So then, I had to showcase what I was about. That's my first game on national television. Then the second time we played against UConn. They had Rodney Purvis. They had Jalen Adams. They had this guy, I forgot his name, but he played in the G. He's a big African center, very good rim protector. But Jalen Adams was my matchup, and I got a chance to go against him. Then Tennessee, we play against Admiral Schofield, like all those guys that were at Tennessee. So that's my junior year that caps it off. Boom, right?
Yeah.
And then we go into play league play. Senior year, we played against Notre Dame. First, we
Mm,
played against Matt Farrell, played against Bonzi Colson, those guys, right? Got a chance to match up with dudes that were consensus All Americans, you know what I mean, at the end of the
yeah.
season. Held my own. I had 5 and 7 against them. Um, Next game was probably the most polarized because we had played against Michigan. And so Michigan's team was their most marquee player was Charles Matthews, which people watching may know, went to
Yeah.
Kentucky. But they had Charles Matthews, they had Mo Wagner that plays in the NBA, they
Mm-hmm.
had Duncan Robinson, and they had
Mm.
Jordan Poole. Yeah, but those Jordan Duncan weren't like they were still there. They
Yeah.
wasn't like you know what I mean. But Duncan showed more flashes than Jay Poole did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because this is Jay Poole, I believe, his freshman year. So like he still was not like who he became to be at Michigan.
Yeah.
Um, but man, they got us by like 30. But I was able to do my thing.
Yeah.
And then Cal Berkeley, you know what I mean? They had a couple of dudes that ended up. Marcus Lee played at Kentucky, and some guys, and we ended up getting them by 30. You know what I mean? So I was able to test my level against those guys, and I think for my Maui career, I averaged about like 13, 5 and 5 or 5 and 4. And you put that up against high major numbers. If you put me at North Carolina and I'm averaging 13, 5 and 4, what does that look like?
Yeah.
Or UConn or Tennessee or. So I was very happy about those results for sure.
Man, you should be. You should hold
Yeah.
your head high with that. And you went against some dogs like
Hmm. Hmm.
Duncan and Jordan Poole now because you're like, wow, like those
Yeah.
guys are things. And they're Jordan Poole last night, like he's a part of like they call it the PTSD lineup now with him and Clay and Steph and Draymond. But
That's
that's unreal. And the fact
yeah, man.
I'm just incredibly impressed. And I know I've told you this before and I'll continue to say it. And I truly mean it. Is just and because I'm experiencing this just in a different environment. When you have it, like you have something, and you step up to the plate every time, and it's like just how LeBron said when he won the finals, like I just want my damn respect. It's like I'm doing
Yeah. Yeah.
it in and night out, and like I'm doing it against the people who you guys love, and the fact that you're able to just stay the course, stay locked in. It's just the sky's the limit. So what's the next chapter after your collegiate level?
Next chapter was professionally, so I had a very big summer. Shout out to my coaches and everything at Chaminade for being
Yeah,
able to, help me with my academics to position me. So once I finished my season, I only had like about 2 classes left. So they were both online. So I was able to like leave college and go to Vegas and do pre-draft training with my agency. A lot of guys I was getting ready for the draft. My class, like Troy Brown Jr., Gary Trent,
yep,
those kind of guys was down there mixing it up. So Went down there, did a lot of pre-draft training, got exposed to a lot more of that Maui Invitational style stuff and against high-level guys. Obviously, I wasn't drafted. Went down to summer league, worked out with a couple teams as far as like off the grid, like just
Hmm.
name the face, getting the chance to get seen in front of some people,
Right.
my agent, and then the next chapter was going to Europe. Like hey, your game may not be there right now for the NBA or G League because there's 450 spots. But there's other ways to attack this, and which I'm used to. It's not always about going
Yeah.
to the best level or this school or this school. So for me, I'm like, cool, let's sign up for it. So started out, went to Lithuania, was there around the same time when the Ball brothers were in Lithuania. So that was obviously really cool, um, being there and being a part of that culture and everything, because the Ball brothers kind of made Lithuania
Yeah.
a household country because people didn't really talk about it until they went. You know what I mean? That was a cool experience. From there, came back, did some things for the G League privately with the Bucks, Sixers, and Lakers. Very good experience, very good feedback to then propel me to go to Denmark, where I probably made the biggest splash in my career as a professional basketball player. Yeah, I was there for essentially 2 years, 1+1, and man, I played against so many great guys, so much great competition. The way that they play is very transparent to like how the NBA and how the G League is. It's very up tempo. It's very threes, dunks, lobs, quick decisions, highlights. Like it's very much translates to the NBA
Yeah.
game. And for me, it gave me a chance to just be myself, like I was a Chaminade man, and I was top 5 in every statistical category both years I was there. So, and I think the second year I was number 2 in scoring, number 3 in assists, number 2 in rebounding. I was like number 1 in steals at like 2.5 a game. And my team was going to the playoffs my second year, man, and they hadn't been to the playoffs in a while. It's like almost like a Minnesota Timberwolves kind of situation where we were fun to watch and young. We had a lot of young guys with us, and man, we were gearing up for a really deep playoff run. I felt like, and right when that was happening, March 2020 happened, and the pandemic hit us. So that sidelined us all. We
Yeah.
that whole team, we still got a group chat. We definitely would need to run that back at some point in our lives. Um, and then from there, man, I went after pandemic, went to Serbia. Um, Pretty unique experience. A lot of good, a lot of bad to take away from it. A lot of learning experience for me.
Yeah.
Um, and then up until recently, where I was a part of the NBA G League draft, signed as an G League free agent, got invited to a showcase in Vegas, where I was the MVP of the showcase. So I was averaging about like 26 a game, shooting like 50, 40, 90 for the tournament. So I was, I'm coming off.
490. Oh,
Yeah. So everything has been like you kind of mentioned, just being able to, whatever room I was in, make sure I'm myself, kind of
yeah.
relating back to the Kanye, just who you are is who you are. Don't change that for anything. It doesn't matter if I'm playing alongside LeBron, AD, and those guys. I still got to come and show up and be myself. Or if
Yeah.
I'm in the G League draft or invited to a showcase, I still need to be Austin Pope, whatever room I'm in.
And I thought about this the other day. I don't know. So I get like my mind is always racing, especially because I want to do this for a living where I'm able to talk to so many people, pick things from people, learn from people. So like I'm constantly thinking of ideas or it's analogies or people to talk to. So the
Yeah.
other night, I don't know what it was. I just couldn't sleep. And I was thinking about this interview that I was going to have with you. And if you look at all the greatest success stories, like every single one of them, there's a very thin line between failure and success. Like they're from being ridiculed and criticized, from being admired and revered. Like
Yeah.
very, very thin line. Like it just all it takes is that one just slight nod from somebody, and before you know it, your whole life changes. Like you look from the Disneys to the Steve Jobs to the Jeff Bezos to the sports world, Michael Jordan, from not making his high school team. You look from what LeBron had to overcome, Muhammad Ali, like
Everybody,
literally
Kobe.
Kobe,
Yeah,
just it, like the missed game winners, and he chokes, and he's not this. Like it's a very thin line how it can change overnight, and it's the people that stick in it and
yeah,
just continue to keep it pushing are the people that end up seeing the other line.
yeah. Yeah, I haven't got to that point yet, but I definitely have faith and believe that I will. But that thin line that you just mentioned is very, very real. It's a very real thing, and you also question yourself as I'm sure that Mike and all those people you named, they of course they had this like I saw Kevin Durant talk about it in his documentary. He said he was humble enough to know that like it would happen for him at some point, but he was also he had a little he or humble enough to know that it may not happen for him. It potentially may not happen for him, but he was also had a certain level of confidence to know that it will. So it's like that weird balance between humble and confident and like
Yeah.
knowing that it couldn't happen, but also confident enough in yourself and what you bring to the table every day that it will happen. So I think I'm in that boat. Well, I know I'm in that boat, but it's definitely it's definitely can cause you to have some late nights and some early mornings for sure, you know,
Yeah.
and obsess over it though. But I love what I do, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. So I love it.
You're in love with the process. And
Yeah, yeah,
I love inspirational stuff. And I remember watching this thing. This guy's like, the guy who enjoys walking is going to walk further than the guy who's trying to walk to the destination. And
yeah.
so
I agree.
the fact that you're in love with the process means when you do make it, because you will make it and you will be there. And I truly wholeheartedly believe that. You and I have already talked about that. I'm going to
Yeah,
cover the game, but
yeah,
it's going to be more than you just making it. It's going to
yeah,
be you thriving in it
yeah,
and
yeah,
being able to have that, like you said, it's like directed and channeled confidence and faith. It's like you're not being cocky, but you're channeling it in the right areas. And
yeah,
so, yeah, because I was like, man, Michael Jordan went from not being labeled as a winner to all of a sudden the greatest winner.
yeah.
You
No,
know what I mean? Like
it's
it's just
unreal.
Muhammad Ali was a guy who just talked to all of a sudden being the future when he beat Sonny Liston of boxing. Like we revolutionized the game. And it's like Mike Tyson went from being like too short to being the
Being like,
most polarized knock we've ever seen. I'm like, this is a common denominator between all of these people. Like Tom
yeah.
Brady not drafted in the 6th round. Oh, he's the greatest of all time. Like,
It's so crazy. It's really mind-boggling, and man, and it's shout out to Yoda, my man Rashad Phillips,
yep.
because I think I think I know that throughout this process, him and Dom, but especially when Rashad got involved, I was getting invited to like around the time getting invited to Portsmouth, which is top 64 seniors in the country, and Yoda sent out a tweet saying that like, I know the top 64 seniors are going to be invited, but you need to give this kid a jersey. He needs to have a jersey. And from that point, man, he's been a big brother, a mentor of mine. And anytime I needed some advice, he's always been able to like, because he's been through what I've been through as well. And he's been to those levels and he's been to those countries. He's been a part of rooms. So for me, I didn't have those mentors when I was maybe in high school or middle school, but like
Mhm.
as I got to the professional ranks, college ranks, that shaped into having some very tight knit relationships with people that I needed. You know what I mean? And he's always believed in me. You know what I mean? He was very, very, very big on my game. The whole family is. You know what I mean? So I thank you guys for that because
Oh, of course.
because you need people in your circle that believe in you. You need people like Yoda will tell you. At the end of the day, like he'll always, as well as he'll give me the confidence, he's also going to give me the most realistic things for myself to thrive so I can get to where we need to get to. He's not going to just say, you need to go, you're going to be here right now, but nah, like, let's tackle this. And then from there, we're going to see exactly, the world will see exactly what I see kind of thing. So,
Yeah, it's problem solving. Now he um is so like I can't describe to people who know of him but never met him. It's hard to describe. He has this talent, like he has this. It's almost like a sixth sense where he's able to like see things in people, and he's able to, especially when you look at his evaluations in terms of like basketball.
yeah,
He's able to just really see like, okay, right now this is where he's at, but this is where he's going to be, and it's going to
mm,
be 3 or 4. I'm like, what? In like year 3 or 4? He's like, year 3 or 4, he's gonna pop. And I'm like,
How do you
okay.
know? Yeah.
He like year 3 or 4, he pops. And it's like we talked about Fred Van Vliet, like he saw that. Like John Morant, he saw that. Trey Young, he saw. And some of these guys, believe it or not, the undrafted. Fred Van Vliet didn't get drafted in 2016. We mentioned Duncan Robinson, he didn't get drafted. And you're looking at these guys. Udonis Haslam didn't get drafted. Like these are legends and pillars of their franchise. But
Yeah.
it's unreal. And I remember I covered a Magic game with him, and like it goes further than just sports with him. Like he was able to like. He's like, yeah, you're going to be that guy. He's like, you're going to be next up. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because I was talking about my inspirations. He's like, you're going to be the next one. And like ever since then, he like just saw this broadcasting future for me. And I was
That's
like,
love, man.
yeah. And like, so he's just included me in so many things, and just the amount of just belief in me when I'm just like this young, because I've known him for a while now. I was just like someone who's just young,
Hmm.
hungry, showing up to the game. He had no reason. I interviewed him out of my car. Like I was driving to cover an event. And I'm like, I can't miss this interview with Rashad. So
Yeah.
on the phone with him, interviewing him with a mic in my hand. He didn't know I was driving. And so I wouldn't recommend it to people listening, but I was like, I
Yeah.
can't do this. And for some reason, he just always stuck with me, even when I was just some dude, like little, like just a kid bugging him. And he just still found that belief in me. And since then, we've been rocking ever since. It's family. So
Man, that's a great story. And I mean, couldn't happen for two greater people, man. You guys, I mean, the universe puts people in the right places at the right time for each other, man. Always does it.
Austin, it's been an absolute pleasure whenever you come on the show. I'm just so excited to see your journey unfold. The journey you have already had is just incredible. And you are the definition of why I'm doing this series, is because just your story, like I said, the way you carry yourself, seriously, the sky is the limit for you. So, what can people listening from this take away from it? Like, what would be your message to people that are maybe in your shoes now, are going to be in that journey? What would be your message to those people?
Stay true to yourself at the end of the day. I mean, that's the main thing that I could say is just straight stay true to yourself, what you believe in, your grind, your work ethic. Keep your circle very tight knit. You don't need opinions from every single person. You have your mental focus on where you want to be and just work around that, regardless if you go here, there. If you don't go there, you do have to go here. Like, just stay the course of what and believe in yourself. It's pretty much what I can tell you. You know what I mean? So,
Right. And for those listening that want to continue to follow your journey, because this is just the beginning, that things get crazy here. Like we said, there's a thin line between the journey and when you make it. So, where can people follow you? Where can people find you, message you,
yeah.
support you? The floor is yours.
My Instagram is my main platform. My name is Austin O Pope, Pope on Instagram. And yeah, man, I mean, I'm working out every day with my group, with one of the best trainers, if, in my opinion, the best trainer in basketball, Olin Simplest, the guard whisperer, and his staff for Brandon Tillis as well. So, tap into us. We have a lot of big things coming up as far as my work. And then got the Drew League stuff. We got Summer League stuff coming up. So it's going to be a lot of things shaking up in my world. And one thing I will say again is you mentioned the journey. And just from us talking, the journey is definitely, Kyrie said, the journey is the reward. So I didn't really know what that meant until, like, for example, this podcast, right? So as I just got done unfolding my journey to you, I got so much fulfillment from where I've been, like from high school to middle school to high school to junior college to Hawaii to this country to that. Like, that journey of going there is more exciting, and if that's the reward in this game. So if you're watching this, your journey is the best part of this whole your whole journey. It is the best part of your whole career. It's the journey, not necessarily always the destination, because once you get to the destination, you're gonna be sitting there like, okay, what's next for me? You got to conquer this next part, but the
Yeah.
journey, the path to get there is really the reward and everything. So
There's always going to be something more, right? Like there's always be a bigger and better. It's like, okay, I'm on this team. I want to be on this team. It's like, okay, I got this deal. I want a bigger deal. Like there's
yeah,
always going to be like, we're just programmed that way.
it's I mean, LeBron, like, they're pushing him to propelling him to new levels. It may not be this or that. It's always just I'm sure if he looks back from when he started playing to going here and getting drafted to Cleveland, and then also not winning but being successful in Cleveland, then going to
Yeah.
Miami and finding a little bit of success, then leaving Miami, come back to Cleveland, and then going from Cleveland, like that journey as he speaks on it, I guarantee you gives him so much fulfillment. You know what I mean? Because that's what it's about.
I'm not to get too deep here, but like, have you ever seen the movie Soul?
Yes. Oh man,
Have
great
you
movie.
like that is an unreal movie that I know kids just can't fully grasp the concept of.
No, no, no,
Because
no,
I
not
don't even
yet.
like I fully grasp it just yet. But like when he was looking back, and not, I don't think it's a spoiler alert at this point. It's been out for a
Yeah,
minute. So when he
yeah.
passed away and he was converted over, and he was looking back at all the memories in his life, he was never trying to. His memory was never the destination.
Mm-mm.
His memory was never the amount of money he made.
No.
All of his memories were the journey that he's had throughout his whole life, finding his passion, practicing his passion, the music. Like those are the most important memories that he remembered.
Yeah, man, and that's that movie is so beautiful, man. I mean, I
Yeah.
saw it when it came out, the cartoon, because I know it's Jamie Foxx is I think is the
Yeah.
big Jamie fan, so I had to tap in. And one of the best, regardless of animated or not, one of the best films I've ever seen for sure. Great film.
Yeah. And it just reminded me of that because someday we'll be able to look back at the journey and we'll remember, I guess the journey really never ends, but as far as just this chapter of the journey, this is like the beautiful part to your point.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
that part, that passion, that drive, like these are the parts that you'll always want to remember.
Yeah.
Austin, it's always a pleasure, man. You're invited anytime you want to come on. You have something coming up, anytime you just want to talk hoops. I know you're a big Kyrie Irving and a Brooklyn fan right now, and they're getting a lot of heat at the moment. So anytime you want to
I
chop it up, you're more than welcome to.
will do, man. I love the pressure too, so I love the fact that they're down on two. This is the great ones are made of, man. So we're about to see.
And I just want to throw this out there because people
Yeah.
laugh when I asked this, but now everybody's saying it. I interviewed Kevin Durant and I
Uh-huh.
said, so Kyrie Irving dropped his career high in Orlando that night. I saw him. He had 40 points in one half, and I was watching it like, oh my God, I've never seen anyone score. Like, no matter what league it is, I've never seen something like this. So it was just unreal. So I talked to Kevin Durant and I said, and I knew I was going to ask this, but it was even more perfect timing after that type of performance. And I said, you guys are the greatest artist duo of all time,
Hmm.
meaning every time you and Kyrie go down the floor, it's a blank canvas. Like you
Yeah.
can paint anything you want. You can finish with either hand. You can create anything you want. You're the most skilled duo of all time.
Yeah. Yeah.
The humble route, but he appreciated. Like I was giving him his flowers because I think people think of Kevin Durant as always going back and forth with the media, and I wanted
Yeah.
to show it doesn't have to be that way. You can
No,
get
no,
flowers, so he appreciated it. But people were like, "Come on, man, the most skilled duo." Since then, LeBron has said it. D Wade has said it. I'm like,
T
come on,
Mac, T Mac. Everybody knows what it is. People that really know the game and hoop and
yeah,
know. I mean, like from a skill level, I'm not
yeah,
saying that the best duo all time,
yeah,
whatever. From an actual tactical, like putting the ball in the hole in different ways, and it's
yeah.
like, yeah, come on, man, come on, man.
It's ridiculous. But Austin, I appreciate you, and until next time, we'll talk.